And now, Insights with Terri Ep.118, a weekly look through the eyes of predictive astrologer Terri Ep.118. Here's Terri.
Hi everyone, this is Terri, and you're listening to Insights with Terri Ep.118. Thank you for joining me, sharing your time, the most precious gift that anyone can give another person, and I'm very, very grateful. We are going to be talking about April the 30th through May the 7th, 2023. We have some interesting pairings of some of the solar events that are going to happen, some of the zodiac events that are going to happen, and some psychic information that's going to be shared with us. I'm part of the pack, so I learned from this as well. The first thing I want to address is Taurus is still in the sun sign. And that's going to stay with us for another few weeks. Taurus being the bull and very determined, kind of maybe a little lethargic energy at times. If you're familiar at all with cattle, except for the fighting bulls, that's a little different. But mostly cattle are slower moving unless they're pushed. The endurance isn't there. So you may feel at times where you have a little bit of a burst of energy, but then other times where you just think, oh gosh, I don't know if I want to get involved in all of this. So look at what you need to do. Get it done in small packages would be the counsel that I would offer. Break it into small things. If you look at the big picture, it may become overwhelming for you and nothing will get done. So just look at little things and break it up and then attack it maybe 15-20 minutes at a time. Let's say that you have to get your lawnmower going and you've got to get the lawn done because that's the time of the year the lawnmower doesn't want to start. Got to drain the gas, change the oil, get the, maybe the blade sharp, and it all becomes so overwhelming, this big job, and you're already tired. So what you may look at is breaking it into packages. Maybe I'll just get the trickle charger out and let it go with that. And then look at something else until all of a sudden everything's working on the lawnmower. Yay! And then look at the grass. Do you have to do all of it at one time? Maybe just what's the longest? Maybe over the septic tank, that's the longest. Then just do that. And then maybe another thing. But probably what will happen with the way the planets have arranged themselves, you will get it started and then feel the adrenaline or the energy or the impetus and then just keep it going. So if you can just get it started, you'll find yourself very, very willing mostly to keep going. That's a good thing. And it all of a sudden gets done and you think, wow, that wasn't that bad. I made this into such a big thing and it wasn't quite as big as I thought it was going to be. So if you break it into little packages, you might be a little bit safer to get the things done. Now, we do have a retrograde. We're in this Mercury retrograde. The sensitive people have been feeling it for 2 weeks before it even started. And it will go direct on the 15th of this month. Not soon enough for me. Retrogrades can really challenge you. It can make you look backwards in your life. It's a slower processing of your mind, trying to find the right word, trying to think through something, trying to add 1 and 1 and come up with the right number. It can be really challenging. A lot of mistakes this go round. Now, what I found for myself personally and listening to my clients' stories is that many things went wrong through this, by our standards, in this retrograde, but it all turned out okay. So it's almost like it was orchestrated to not follow our plans, not follow our direction, and then have it work out in a different way, a way we didn't even plan, but better, actually. So nothing went, I'm not saying nothing went wrong terribly, but if you could step back and look at it, it wasn't as bad as it felt at first when the chaos started happening, and it sorted itself out. And if we could just stay calm, stay flexible, relax as much as we can, knowing that everything's just going to keep going one way or another. And it did mostly, for most people, work out. Venus, the planet of love, beauty, and attraction, is still in Gemini. That's going to go into Cancer, which is a little bit better position, on the 8th. So that's next week. We'll talk about that next week. Venus is a lovable, loving kind of energy, and that pairs very nicely with Cancer, which is also very loving, very homebody, very protective of the people that they love. The challenge here may be super duper emotions, where we'll feel very, very emotional. We'll well up with tears easier, maybe well up with tears while we're listening to somebody else's story. Be very empathic, and maybe take on other people's troubles. So you just want to be careful that you don't take on more than you can handle, or maybe you shouldn't even be taking this on. Maybe all they needed was just a good listener. So we may have to sort that out, but we'll do that next week. Still in Gemini, which is that interest in new things, different things, new food, new people, new hobbies. Just make good use of that if you can for the next week. We've only got it for another week, and it can really brighten up your life because you'll be trying new things that you hadn't tried or hadn't thought about, and it can, add a little spice to the life. Mars, the planet of our drive and our passion, is still in Cancer. So a lot of Cancer energy coming up for us. Cancer in Mars being that fire sign and Cancer being a water sign, we have to be careful because Cancer, the zodiac sign Cancer, being water sign, when you pair it with a fire sign, you could get too much fire, possibly, and burn off the water, or the water can douse the fire. So you have to be cognizant of that. So be aware that there's going to be some very, very intense moods here. And you may feel that you're at the mercy of your moods, or maybe somebody's mood that's around you. You may have to make some distance between some people that are misfiring, or just be aware of yourself if that's something that you start to do. Just be aware of it. So we have to try to find ways to act in sync with our emotions and maybe the emotions of our friends and family. But it's a wet sign, so we may be moved to tears and to laughter and to focus on the laughter. I love the laughter. There'll be a definite play on emotions in the next while. So we may have to guard against getting dramatic, getting in the mood of a performer, or we're looking at our emotions and maybe making a performance of it. And that can go overboard. So, it can be funny if we keep it humorous, but it can be drawn out. A good example would be, I know there's some people that I'm aware of that are very dramatic, and they started talking about the family, and the voices got louder, and my ears were falling off, and the drama and the victim, poor me, the martyr syndrome, and 15 minutes is okay, an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours. Oh, I felt like I could slip around the clock. If I ever went to sleep after that, was totally drained. So be careful how you're affecting others with the drama. And if it gets too much, I couldn't get out of the car. I think I was ready to jump out a window. But if you have an escape, take it. If you don't, I'm so sorry for you. Just be careful who you spend your time with. So the sense of timing may be guided by your ability to tune out the emotional scene. I went back to a childhood tool that is not a good tool, actually. It works, but it's not a healthy tool. Being raised with an alcoholic family, I learned how to go to that special place, that quiet place. So everything that was going on, all the drama, all the ridiculousness, I would go to my little happy place. My body was still there, but can't have my mind. And so you want to maybe look at taking that tool out. So I started to take that tool out in the car, and go to my little happy place. And the drone was in the back of my ear, but it didn't make the emotions get worse than they could have been. So if you have that tool, take it out, use it, but don't misuse it, because that's where we get memory lapses. We are not fully present. We miss a lot of our life. So it's an okay tool to use once in a while, but don't be afraid to put it back in your toolbox when you don't need it. The psychic ability with this Cancer energy right now will allow us to sense when somebody's about to lose it, or gets too high, or becomes too much, and we can back off. And then that trait saves us from getting into maybe a needless conflict, like maybe offering a suggestion that person doesn't even want. That person just wants to be dramatic. So why get into the conflict? Why tell them what to do? Why tell them what's right or wrong? Just back off if you can. So it can lead us, if we're not careful, to becoming too passive in situations that do call for confrontation at times. Just stop for a minute and think about it. Stop for a minute and assess if you can. And really, really, really watch for toxic patterns at this time, maybe with somebody or some people. So our strategy can be defensive, but we can be building up some ire until we can contain it, and then possibly there'll be an emotional outburst. So we're going to have to be very aware, very in the moment in the next 3 weeks. And especially when that Venus turns into Cancer, you're piling all of this on. This can be an explanation why, if you look at some relationships, some people stay in abusive relationships before they break up. And it's kind of a breakup in a berserk kind of style. They've just waited too long. But this type of an energy contributes to being so loyal to a degree that we stay, or contribute to our friends' maybe drama or stuff that we maybe should have divested ourselves of earlier. But because of that Cancer in Mars, because of the Cancer in Venus, because of the Cancer in the Moon at times, we stay longer than we need to. And we've got to be careful of holding on to slights and resentments with this energy field. We may not feel that we want to be open about it, that yes, that hurt my feelings, or yeah, I feel bad about what you just said, and instead we just bury it. So be aware of your friends doing that, your family doing that, or yourself. We will crave emotional honesty, and if there's any discord, it will be picked up right away. That psychic energy will allow us to do that. So if you're feeling secure in your relationships at this time, then it's a healthy kind of energy. If you're not, it's going to show some weaknesses that maybe we can take care of. Maybe we can look at and see, how can I work with this? How can I make this work in my life? So if you'd like, pay attention to that. If you'd like to evolve, if you would like to maybe learn things, grow from things, this is the time to do it. Crab-like, and that's what Cancer is, crab-like actions. If you ever watch a crab, they don't go forward, they go sideways. So if you notice yourself, your children, your family, maybe going at a problem sideways, it could be overwhelming for us. So we might circle around things. We might not want to go directly into an issue. We'll come up from the side step, or approach people sideways. And even watch your animals for this at this time, because that can also, I watch the dogs maybe give another dog a sidelong glance, or turn to the side, or turn their back on something so they avoid it. Watch your dog's body language, your horse's body language, your cat's body language, because they're in this with us as well. Now, through beginning of the week, watch your tummies. The moon will be in Virgo for a short period of time, then moving into Libra. With it in Virgo, if you have pancreatic issues, or you're sensitive to fat, or anything with your small intestine, it could blow up a little bit on you. So just be careful of that. Be respectful of your tummy and your small intestinal tract and your digestive tract. Watch the foods that you choose. And then with that Libra energy coming on, if you're susceptible to kidney stones or kidney infections, bladder infections, ureter infections, any of that, just keep an eye, do what you can do to help that little vulnerable kidney have a good week and not a bad week. Now on May the 5th, we have a full moon. And that full moon is in Scorpio. Scorpio is a very transformative energy. It's a dive deep to try to understand what's going on. Why is it going on? What's going on? What do I need to learn? So it's a very deep dive in some of our energy fields. And it's not afraid to go to real deep taboo issues. I was listening to a podcast the other day. I'm not even going to mention it. Not that I'm afraid of it, but I'm not sure this is the place to mention it. But they approached subjects that I didn't even know was allowed on the radio. I did not know. I was even uncomfortable hearing the word. And I thought, okay, what's the matter with me? That I'm uncomfortable with this subject. So it made me start to think about it. So they weren't afraid of talking about it publicly on the radio, and I'm afraid to think about it. So then I have to look at, where is this coming from? So we're going to have some deep diving opportunities with situations that come up for us this week. And that full moon's going to exacerbate it. So lots of psychic energy this week. Lots of information coming from the universe. And even when I pulled some tarot cards for you, one of the big cards that came up was signals, which means the universe is going to give us lots of signals that we can make good decisions from. If we're awake, if we're aware, if we're in the moment, it's going to be very important to try to tune into our guides and our signals and the signs that they give us, because they're really trying to guide us. Now, we have a lunar eclipse, which isn't, a lunar eclipse is not strong. It's a little bit faded when you compare it to a solar eclipse. But the lunar eclipse is on Friday, which is the 5th. And it's the 5th month of the 5th day. So, and the number, believe it or not, the number that was pulled for this week was number 5. So 5s are going to play a really important place in many people's lives this week. And when you combine all of this, it's about feelings. And this could last for a month. This lunar eclipse, the feeling of it, the psychic energy that even starts to fade with that Scorpio and the full moon, could last for my sensitives up to about a month. It's a portal, and we're going to be asked at the end of the month to exit this portal and work, and the new moon will be the one that triggers these new behavior, new experiences. But for right now, we're in that highly transformative energy. It's a shift. So many of your thinkings will be a shifting. Many of the thinkings will add to your transformation to see, to really see things about you and things that are around us and what other people are doing and why they're doing it. And does this make sense? And so many things don't make sense to me anymore. And that's where we are. So yeah, I'm not saying you have to. It would be well worth your time to look at what's holding you back. What's stopping you from releasing something, so that when we come to the endings of this lunar eclipse, which is in about a month, we'll be able to have closure. We'll be able to understand why this is happening, what's happening. So there's going to be a strong need for many of us to connect to our past. I've had a couple of open glimpses myself, just out of the blue. I was in the middle of doing something and bang, this window opened up and I had to stop and say, wow, leave me alone for a minute. I got to think about this. This is profound. Now, I could have just kept going and kept, cleaning out the chicken coop or chasing the turkeys. But I thought, I need to sit with this for a minute. I need to let this wash over me so that I can understand what this was all about. So if you can do yourself that favor, try to do this. This lunar eclipse will open that up for you. And then the number 5 is the need for change. Many people will take it, I need to travel. I need to search for freedom. I need adventure. I need to be open to new things and new ideas. Yes, you do, but don't run away from it. Don't use that impetus to run away from it. Run into it. Embrace it. Learn about it. Go with it. That's what we are supposed to be doing. I thank you for your time. I really appreciate you taking the time. It's a big thing when people do that. And speaking of time, I am so grateful to Charlie O'Brien for putting this up on Spotify podcasts, Apple iTunes, Amazon, SoundCloud. He gives me the link for YouTube, so I'll share that on the Facebook, and also on our website, www.terriworld.com. He has archived 4 or 5 of the last podcasts, so if you happen to have missed them, or if you just want to kind of go back and see where we were so you can move forward, perfect. He's got it up there for you. So thank you from the bottom of my heart, Charlie. It's a lot of work, and I really appreciate him doing that. If you have any digital needs, or even photography, he's amazing at photography. If you have any digital needs, check him out, because he's very understanding. He listens to what you need, and he gives it as all. So website building, he's done a great job for me, and I'm grateful. And all of this, if you have anything that you want to share with the public, Charlie can help you do it. And again, thank you, Charlie. If you need me and you would like a private reading, feel free to text or call 519-726-6699, or you can visit the website to explore more without any pressure, or you can email me at terri.coutts@gmail.com. If the weather holds, we will be starting our classes for our dogs. That's agility, obedience, fun, play, while your dog is learning to be obedient and respectful and self-disciplined. We start that May the 2nd. That's Tuesday. The classes are 5 one-hour sessions for 5 weeks, and they start at 6:30. So I welcome everybody. We're just about full, so if you're interested in getting in, it better be fast, because we're just about full. Again, thanks everybody. Have yourself a wonderful week. Enjoy, enjoy, enjoy. And God willing, we'll talk to each other next week. Bye for now.
Thanks for listening to Insights with Terri Coots. Visit Terri's website at terriworld.com. TERRI world.com.